Hey guys, Janelle here, and today I want to talk to you about a really controversial topic, especially for those of you that are in the baking industry, and it's about sharing recipes. Let's dive in and talk about this. So welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I owned a bakery in Los Angeles for many years, and I sold it in 2020 to be able to train and mentor and coach and just provide guidance for bakers like you all over the world. But today we're gonna talk about sharing recipes. A few weeks ago, my niece turned 1 and we celebrated her first birthday. And although throughout the years we've had thousands of different recipes at the Cake Mamas, I have never really fallen in love with many vegan recipes, and so my bakery didn't really focus on dietary needs like gluten-free, vegan, things like that. We had one really good gluten-free recipe, but I needed something vegan because my niece is allergic to everything. She can't have dairy, she can't have eggs, and so I have a huge community of bakers that have bakeries and small businesses from all over the world. I reached out to one of my vegan bakers, and her name is Sarah, and she owns Pure Vegan Cakes. So here's a picture of her right here. I've met her in person many times. She's taken my class, Passion to Profit. Basically, she's someone that I know I trust and she trusts me. And so I sent her a message and I said, hey, my niece's birthday's coming up and I need a vegan recipe, something that, isn't gonna require a ton of testing. And so I don't really wanna look on Pinterest and start testing a bunch of recipes. Would you be willing to share a recipe for a vanilla cake? Without any further text, she sends me over one of her best recipes. And I was so thankful for that because that's something that I would do, especially if a friend or a family member or someone that I trust asked me for something, especially if it was around dietary needs, right? So I was really excited to test her recipe. And in fact, I didn't even have to test it. I just made it one time. I knew that it was good. And I wound up making my niece's birthday cake. I was supposed to get all this footage to share it with you. I didn't, but here are some photos of how the cake turned out afterwards. So super thankful that Sarah was able to share that recipe with me. But then I went to Instagram and I took a poll because here's why. I have a friend that makes something that's pretty good. Let's say it's mashed potatoes. And people rave over these mashed potatoes. And for years, lots of friends and family have asked for this recipe for the potatoes. This friend refuses to share it. So I took that poll to Instagram to ask, is it okay to have a secret recipe? Now, here's the thing. If you own a bakery, which myself and Sarah do, I understand if customers or even friends or family for that matter ask for your secret recipes. These are not recipes that I feel should be given away because this is your livelihood, right? This is how you make money. This is what you serve your customers. And if you constantly gave your recipes out, then you wouldn't really have a business, right? And that's a whole nother topic. We'll talk about that in the later part of this video because I have some controversial topics to bring up around sharing your recipes, even if you are a bakery owner and you make money off of your recipes. So we'll come back to that in a second. So back to my Instagram. I posted this on an Instagram poll. Would you share your secret recipe with others? And 55% of the people said yes, that they would, and 45% of the people said no. So then I asked another question. Why? What's the purpose for not sharing it? Is it okay to not share your recipe? And that's where I want to ask you guys, what are your thoughts? Is it okay to say, no, I make really good mashed potatoes. I want to be the one to make them, and I don't want to share this recipe? I don't know. That's why I'm asking you this question. Let me know in the comments below. But here were some of the responses. My friend, Chef Brie Miller, she said, yes, it's okay to withhold your recipes because it took me years to alter and perfect on my own, but I do share off-menu recipes. Here's another one. Yes, I believe absolutely yes. It's a generational recipe that hasn't changed, and if it hasn't, then I think you should share it. Yes, it's okay because you simply don't have to. And although that's true, my question would be, why then? I also Googled this. Is it okay to withhold a secret recipe? And of course the answer is, yeah, if you don't want to share it, you don't have to share it. You're not obligated. But Quora had some really interesting answers because there was a whole forum. So Eb Christensen said, no, I wouldn't, but that's only because I don't have any secret recipes. There's a Danish cookbook writer and food show host, Camilla Plum, that once said, there is a special place in hell for those who go to the grave with a good recipe, and I agree with her. And so there were lots of different comments on here like, well, why do you want to die with the recipe? Why do you want to withhold it? Is it because you want to be the star of the show? Is it because you want to be the only person in the family that gets asked to make, XYZ, whatever it is you won't share? And then there were other reasons why people didn't want to share, and they were more logical. So one would be like my mom. When I was growing up, my mom would always get recipes from other people, but she never measured anything. And I don't measure anything when I cook either. So she always kind of just added a little bit, eyeballed everything, and then she always added extra ingredients. So if someone loved whatever it was, she would say, hey, here's the recipe that someone gave me, but also try adding a little bit of this or extra spices or whatever. You gotta kind of do it to your taste. And people get really annoyed with that. And so I understand because I cook just like my mom cooks. I don't measure things. I kind of add to taste. And so if someone really likes something that I make and they ask for the recipe is pretty loose, and there's a very good chance that it's not gonna turn out the way that mine does because I cook to taste. So that would be an example of why I understand people don't share recipes, but again, I would still share the recipe. Now, I know that we're talking about a couple of different things. We're talking about mashed potatoes, we're talking about cooking, and we're also talking about recipes that are more scientific, like for a cake, right? Again, I am in the camp that if you own a business and what you make for a living makes you money and it creates a livelihood for you and your employees, then I don't think those recipes should be shared. But I'm talking in this example or in this poll about people who make something good and others like it. Do you think that the recipe should be shared? I think most of you are gonna say yes, but then of course it comes down to, well, if you don't wanna share it, you don't have to share it. But my question still is why? And when do you think it's acceptable? I just wanna know what your thoughts are, so let me know in the comments below. And the only thing I'll say is, like, kind of going back to recipe sharing if you own a business, I think that you should be able to withhold those recipes and protect them. But let's talk in another video about the fact that some bakery owners withhold their recipes and there's so much like secrecy around them that they won't even let their own employees see their recipe book. And to me, I think that's kind of crazy. I understand that you want to protect your recipes, but I also know from the standpoint of efficiencies and just like growth from a scalability standpoint, that's not really something that's gonna help you get very far in business. So let me know what your thoughts are below, and if you have a recipe you wanna share, share it in the comments. Bye guys.